So here we are. Hi, Pete. How you doing?
All good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. A bit stressed through traffic where I am. I've just moved and the traffic is horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous where I am. And every bit of green space they're putting a house on. It's really scary because there's no infrastructure in place. There's no schools, there's no new drainage, there's no new doctors. It's just houses, houses, houses. And I was watching a video the other day about farmers being paid £2,500 per, I don't know, acre or something, not to grow food. So and we're in the consequences of that. So
Yeah,
a little bit stressed, but I think that's part of what's going on. What do you think?
absolutely correct. Yeah, it's getting insane. It's like the traffic is out of control, and it's all artificially created. So the government is deliberately creating this traffic. They're doing it by closing lanes, putting in cycle paths, changing the timing of the traffic lights, all these fake roadworks that we see. Roadworks for miles, but there's no work going on. This is all by design. 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, reducing the actual travel time. All this sort of stuff is causing traffic chaos, which is causing and costing millions and millions of pounds for businesses and people who work, because that's what they're actually doing. This is what the government's trying to do, is to basically break the economy. So yes, you're experiencing
Right. Okay, you answered my next question. Yeah, I'm thinking why are they doing it apart from making people stressed? And those of us that know what's going on, we try and breathe a little bit deeply, but it's horrendous. So it is to break the economy. That's what you think what's going on, yeah?
Correct. I mean, if you look at the bigger picture, what they're actually trying to do is to destroy the Western world, because there's a planetary shift. It's moving away from Western culture and it's moving over to the East. We can see that now. The American dollar is coming to an end, and they want to destroy the economy in Europe. France, Germany, England, Wales want to destroy that, and of course the American economy that's going to have to be destroyed. And what they're going to try and do is push all of us into a third world level of living. 15-minute cities, no cars, no red meat, no nothing, no airplanes. They've got to ban holidays in 2030, so that's gone.
And also 2030, what are they talking about? Clothes, you can only buy 3 items of clothes a year or something. That's what I picked up somewhere. So if you're a growing teenager, don't grow too quickly, because you're going to have really short sleeves. And it's a bit scary, but also I think it's a bit funny as well, because it's just unbelievable. You couldn't make a movie about this, because if you're in Hollywood making a movie, nobody would believe it, would they? It's just so incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible that people don't see it. That's what blows my mind.
That's it. They don't. And do you know, well, a mutual friend of ours was somebody who's on the live, on the Lawful Remedy, Jill, in fact. She was saying that because she lives in London, and the amount of tickets, not necessarily her, but her friends and colleagues, are being given just because they change the rules and regulations like every day. 1 minute it's a bus lane, then it's not, and then you can't stop here, and it's a loading bay, and every day you're getting these parking notices, and it drains you. I know we're doing our best to sort of wake people up and deal with it, but it's very, very draining, isn't it?
It is. We've been at this for a very long time now. I mean, let's get into some of the remedies as well, because the thing is it is absolutely a scam. All these tickets, they're not laws. This is one of the things we try and teach people. It's not laws. You're not compelled to do it. It's all commerce. So as long as you start learning the system, as long as you learn how the system actually works, then you can operate above the system. And none of these tickets will ever apply to you again. And 15-minute cities won't apply to you and all the rest of it. But people have to wake up. And unfortunately, I don't see that. There's only a handful of people that I know, very small number, who's actually woken up and become sovereign. Most people, unfortunately, in the freedom movement are still running around like headless chickens, panicking, going, oh my God, there's this new health bill. And I'm going, why do I even care? It doesn't apply to me. You see, if you get this mindset, and you just realize that, look, ULEZ doesn't apply to me. Where's the contract? 20-mile-an-hour speed limits don't apply to me. Where's the contract? 15-minute cities don't apply to me. Where's the contract? You get enough people who just wake up to that level, it all comes to an end. It literally is wake up from the nightmare. People are doing it to themselves at this point in time.
Yeah. Do you know, I had somebody drop something off at my house yesterday, in fact, and where he has been in this village all his life, and he's seen the changes. And he was saying, like, the green space, anywhere there's a bit of grass, they will build something. And there was an old guy down the road who had a caravan park. Yep. And he's just popped his clogs. And unfortunately, the new wife or partner on his scene has taken over and is selling the land to the developers. And I don't know how they can develop anymore because there's hardly anything left to develop. And my initial response or my thought was anger, frustration, and a bit of fear, to be honest. I'm thinking, oh my God, how are we going to cope? And then, like you say, if you become aware of none of it really matters because that's matrix stuff, do you know? And if I think also, if you know what you are, who you are, what you are, none of it really matters because you don't want to be fear-based. You know it's going to go on, but you can sort of move yourself out of it, can't you? If you become sovereign, I guess.
Yes.
How do we become sovereign, Pete? How did you get into it? I mean, what's your background?
Well, it's not lawful or legal. I'm an engineer. I'm into engineering. That's my career. That's my what I've done since leaving school. And I was doing a very different thing up until 2020. I was developing my own supercar, and I wanted to go into that sort of field. And then, of course, 2020 happened. Now, all the stuff that I know is self-taught over like 30 years, just from my own knowledge, because I wanted to know. I wanted to basically improve my own legal documents. This is how it all started. And I started learning this stuff when I got access to the internet for the first time in 1992. So this is all self-taught. And what I'm trying to do now, since 2020, I realized that people are completely lost. They don't know anything. They've been absolutely dumbed down to a point of knowing literally nothing. I mean, zero. And when I saw all these mandates, people go, oh, I've been mandated to have a vaccine. And I go, no, it's not how it works. You can't be mandated to have that done. So I thought I'd better start telling people how the system works. You see, if you realize how the system works, you'll start laughing your head off. The fear goes away. You go, oh my God, I didn't know it was so fragile. 5G, gone, boom, no problem at all. Bus lanes, gone, no problem. Oh, it's that easy, but we need numbers, okay? And unfortunately, I've always said this, I'm the most sovereign man on the planet, and I'm trying to look for other men and women who are also sovereign. That's difficult, because most people on the planet, they have got the slave mentality. They believe that government exists. They believe that government corporate policy is law. It isn't. These people have lost the ability to hold their own court. They don't even know they have a court. That's been taken from them. So you've got to take all this back. You've got to take your responsibility. You've got to take your name back. The average person today is not even using their own name. They're using surnames. That's not yours. That's owned by the Vatican and the Bank of England and all these other central banks and governments. They control that name. It's not yours. You have a family name. So all this is lost. So what I try and do is educate people to get your name, to create your own estate, to become sovereign. In other words, to become sovereign, it means to be responsible for your own life. You don't expect anyone else to do it for you, and you will not be told what to do. That's the mindset thing. So we saw it with the pandemic nonsense. People were saying, oh, you've got to follow these arrows, and then you've got to put your mask on and stand on that little, and people were doing it. And they were doing
some people love it.
What's that you say, Karen?
Yeah. I said some people are actually loving it as well. Some people love to be told because they can't think for themselves, and they get annoyed for those of us that weren't complying to this ridiculous legislation. They would come and have a go at us. I can't, if you think back, again, it's a comedy, isn't it? If you think back to some of the situations that occurred, I remember sitting on a train once and I didn't have anything on my face or whatever. I was just sitting as a free woman, and this bloke all masked up with his wife sat opposite me, and across, and he went for me, and he got the conductor out and he nearly pulled the emergency cord. He was so angry. I said, why have you sat next to me? Why have you done it? Anyway, it didn't end in fisticuffs, but I held my ground and he walked away. But he thrived on this telling me what to do or trying to control me. It was unbelievable how some people have reacted. That's what's scary.
Yeah, I mean, the system is stupid people. That's what it is. The matrix is stupid people. They will literally fight for their own slavery. They want to be slaves. They want to be told what to do. Now, this is pathetic, and I want nothing to do with these people at all. This is why I set up the Sovereign Fraternity. The Sovereign Fraternity is responsible professional people who can run their own lives and do not want to be told what to do. And there's thousands of us now. The membership on the Sovereign Project now is huge. We've got members in multiple different countries now, and it's growing exponentially. So that's good news. Now, what I do...
That's very good.
Yeah, it's great. And we're getting more workshops set up, more chess clubs, more loan nights. So what I tend to do is I help these people on their own journey. They've all got to decide what to do. They've got to decide to go on this journey. I can't tell them what to do, but it's worth it. Because if you can go on this journey, you can become sovereign, you can handle your own affairs, and you learn how the system works, you'll have so much fun. And these people will leave you alone because you will decimate them. Because you'll be able to use your paperwork and then go after them and sue them and drag them through the courts and say, you've messed with a sovereign and we're not going to put up with this. But it starts at the beginning. People have to start this journey on their own. But I am here to help those who want to put the work in and actually study this stuff.
Which is absolutely brilliant. We need more people like you to encourage the rest of us, the useless eaters. They can stay behind. I mean, sometimes you get what the elite people have said about the useless eaters, because there are a lot of them around, and I can relate to that, which isn't probably the right thing to say. But these people that are following rules and are loving it, you know. Alas, how does one become? What is the very first step? When you say, right, I'm going to become sovereign, what does that mean to somebody watching this video or seeing you at, you know, one of the talks or many things that you get up to? What would you say the very first thing, if they're brand new but they want to become sovereign, they want to become this free person?
Okay, take responsibility for your own life. That's step number one. So when you take control of your own life, you will not expect anyone else to save you or do anything for you or tell you what to do. So you take responsibility for your own life. And then what you need to do is take control of your house. Okay, so your house is your family, your life, your everyday things. I think Jordan Peterson says tidy your bed every morning when you get up. Now, he's not really like referencing a bed, but what he's saying is keep your house in order. So as a sovereign, you will know everything in your life. You'll have control of it. Your paperwork will be in order. Your bank accounts will be in order. You'll have plans. You'll have everything good to go. And you'll have steps on what you want to do to achieve things. You'll have your life's plan, especially as a man. A man is supposed to do this naturally. Okay. So that's the first thing you should be doing. Then do not be told what to do. Don't let anyone tell you what to do. All right, don't just do it. If someone says, "Oh, you know, wear a mask," who are you? Who are you telling me what to do? You know, am I obligated? Where's the obligation for me to do this? And then you challenge them. Now, when I say challenge, it doesn't necessarily mean fisticuffs. You don't fight. You don't even have to swear or anything like that. But be forceful, stand your ground, and then you challenge their authority. Now, if you're sovereign, you will know where authority comes from. It comes from you. My authority comes from me. For someone to have authority over me, I have to grant it. I have to grant it and allow it. So I have to say, yes, you can tell me what to do within a contract, and I will work for you. You can be my boss, not a problem. But overall, I have the superior authority because I can end the contract at any time. So if someone's trying to tell you something and say, you've got to do it, you should ask, where are you getting this authority from? I don't remember giving it to you. And then you question the paperwork. Where's the evidence? Where's the paperwork that says I have to do this? Doesn't exist. And another thing you've got to understand when you become sovereign and play the game, because the entire system is a game, is you've got to see corporations and legal titles. These are the traps. You have to understand that a corporation does not exist. Government doesn't exist. It's a smoke and mirrors thing. Doesn't exist. I can't even describe to you what government is. Can't do that. How tall is government? Is he 6'2"? I don't know. Is he a white man? Is he a black man? I don't know. Government is a corporation, a dead entity. Then what you've got to do is spot legal titles. They're the traps. Things like occupier, driver, resident, all these things. You've also got to learn how to read, because the average person does not know how to read at all. They might be able to recognize text on a piece of paper, but they don't understand the meaning behind the words, and they don't even understand what is missing on the paper and what the sentences actually mean, because you can rearrange words in a sentence and it can have a completely different meaning, and the average person can't spot that. I'll give you an example. If I said to you, let's say you contact the DVLA and you ask the DVLA, do I need to register my car? Now, the DVLA will respond in their paperwork and they will say words that will say something like this: to be legal, you must register your vehicle with the UK to operate on UK roads. And you go, okay, what they just said? They've said to be legal, that means to enter into contract with us. Legal means contract, okay? It also means you must register your vehicle. What does that mean? It means I've converted my private car into a vehicle of commerce. So we're now entering into commerce. Then they've said I've got to register with the UK corporation. And then they say to use UK roads. And you go, well, hang on a minute. Those roads out there aren't UK roads, but there is a UK jurisdiction placed upon it. So when people can read for the first time, then they can see the trap. So all that is saying, all the DVLA is saying is, yeah, if you want to contract with us and you want to operate within the jurisdiction of the UK corporation and run a vehicle of commerce, then yeah, you've got to register with us. That's what they're saying. So you go, oh, okay, thanks, no thanks, offer decline then. And I won't register my car.
Well, because we are, the majority of us are in, I call it the matrix. It's very difficult to drive a car if you're not registered using the roads that are under the UK jurisdiction. So if you do take that sovereign attitude and say, well, I'm not going to do any of that, and out you go in your little car and drive around, and then the police pull you over for something, your lights don't work, then you're stuffed, surely.
Well, this is where it becomes a criminal act, because people have got, again, this is brainwashing. People have got to understand what the police do, and they literally tell you this to your face. They are literally called police officers. That's policy enforcers. So that means that they are enforcing policy within a contract, within a corporate jurisdiction. Now, if I decided not to register my car and I own it outright, then I am not bound by their policies. It does not apply because I have not contracted. Therefore, everything that the police do is a criminal act, no different than any other criminal, like bank robbers, rapists, and all the rest of them, or carjackers, okay? So at that point that you will know I am actually, this is a criminal act now. These people in costumes with badges on are literally stealing my car. They are literally threatening me, no different than any other criminal gang. It's at that point that you are well within your rights to sue them for criminal damages. And then I can explain how that's done if you learn this stuff. But it's mindset. Okay.
It's the mindset. Because I think a lot of us, we are, those of us that want to change the system, we're, how can I say this? We don't want all that aggro, do we? Basically, we just want to get on with our lives. We want to live our lives happily without harming other people and people's belongings and stuff like that. But most of us know that if we do get in the car and we don't register it, we are going to cause trouble for ourselves. But it is a numbers game, isn't it? If enough of us did this, then we could break the system. So when we talk about legal, a friend of mine was the other day, she gave me a question about I want to be sovereign and I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And she was using the word legal a lot and getting it muddled up with lawful. Can you differentiate? Can you explain to people what the difference is between legal and lawful? Because that's a big one, isn't it?
It is. That's right. And this is another thing about the mindset stuff. And you have to learn the rules of the game. Lawful and legal. In layman's terms, a law, this is the thing now you can determine the difference. A law is unwritten and unspoken. It is just known. Law cannot be changed. That's a big thing you must learn. You cannot change law. It is just the way it is. And for a law to be broken, there must be a victim. So if there's a victim and they are making a claim upon you and said, you stole from me, then you have now broken the law. And then that would be up for a jury of 12 to determine whether or not you did do the crime and then would punish you accordingly. So the number one thing about law, this is the best way. If you're religious or something like that, you can call it God's law if you wish. Now, if you put it into God's law, then man can't change it. Only God can. All right. So that's a clue. It can't be changed. It can't be altered. It's God's law. So that's a big clue. Legal contracts. That's all it means. It means an agreement between one person and another. They sit down, write down on a piece of paper, and then whatever they decide in that piece of paper, that is law to them. So if two people want to sit down and say, right, we're going to make it law that you must wear a yellow t-shirt on a Wednesday. and those two people sit down, they write it down, they both sign it, then it's law to them. Then those two people have agreed to do that, but it doesn't apply to anyone else. So legal means contract. It's as simple as that. And by the way, politicians will literally use the terminology of contracts in everyday speech. They will always talk about, we're changing policy. And because the average person is so dumbed down, they can't twig it and go, what do you mean policy? That's contract. So if they talk about license, contract, policy, contract, regulation, contract, all of it is contracts. These are contractual terms used in contract law, meaning it only applies to you if you've sat down and signed a document with someone else and agreed to it. You consented. If you didn't consent, it doesn't apply to you. So hopefully that's explained the difference between lawful, legal. Legal's contracts, lawful, if you like, God's law. You can't change it.
So yeah, I think you've explained that well, but I'm going to throw a cat amongst the pigeons here.
Sure.
Because you mentioned God. Because I mean, also, if you look at lawful, it's natural law, isn't it? Anything that's to do with nature and that's natural and our God-given right and what have you. So talking about God, and religion and spiritualism, I mean, are they all the same things? What do you think about that? Because somebody might say, well, in the Bible it's said, and I haven't read the Bible or the Quran or I've read the Bhagavad Gita, but a lot of these religious texts will tell you to do something, and it might not be, natural, for want of a better description. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because religion, in my mind, is again a means of controlling people, but spirituality is slightly different.
You're absolutely right. Spirituality is not religion. The origin of the word religion means to get a legion of followers. Religion is to do it again. That's what it is, religion. A typical legion is 6,000 people. So if you've got 6,000 followers, then you've got a legion, and then you've got a religion. Now, if you understand the concept of God, this is deities, okay? Now, you have to understand, this goes back thousands and thousands of years to pagan religion. And it was the pagans who realized that they couldn't control people directly, because that would be too much force and people wouldn't go for that. But the pagans realized that some people believed in a creator, someone created the heavens and the earth. So the pagans decided to create a god and said, this God created the heavens and the earth, and see if people fall for the scam. And people are believed in the God that was created. And then, of course, the pagans can then control the people through the deity and the God. Now, the fact that you quoted multiple different religions there tells you something. They're different jurisdictions, okay? So, for example, if you're a Christian, you're not bound by the Quran. If you're a Muslim, you're not bound by the Bible. That's completely different. You have to choose, and you have to believe in the faith for it to apply to you. So that's what religion is. Now, again, people can be religious, want to be in a religion, that's up to them. I'm not bashing religions, it's their choice. But that's not quite spiritual. Spiritual is something where you believe there's questions that you are questioning, but you don't have the answers to. I question a lot of things. How did the earth begin? How did the universe begin? And all the rest of it. I don't have those answers. And I prefer it that way. So I like to think of those things. I don't like a religion answering those for me. But there's nothing wrong with a religion as long as it's done for peace. But the problem is many religions, in fact, all of them, if you research them, you'll find they're corrupted. We all know about the Vatican. I mean, if you're in the truth movement, you know about the Vatican. And you know how corrupt that is. So going back to scripture and law. So a lot of people say, oh, it's law because it's written in a book. Sorry. You see, a book is not a source of authority. It's not a source. It's a reference material. If you want to call it reference material, that's not a problem. So you've got to understand what the word authority comes from. Author of. So if I write a book, and here you go, I have, then I have the authority over that book. Now, if other people want to believe it and all the rest of it and follow what is written in that book, guess who has authority? Me. So the first thing you should do when you become sovereign is realize that a book is not a source of authority, but it can be used as reference material. And yes, some books, I mean, there's some passages in the Bible that I agree with. I go, yeah, it's not a problem. Doesn't mean that I've suddenly become Christian and I'm now following that religion. So, and there's stuff in the Quran, I believe. I read some of those paragraphs. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not a problem. So books can quote laws and maxims of laws and natural law, but it doesn't mean the book itself is the source of the law. Hopefully that explains it to people. Yeah.
Yeah, a good explanation. And I think, you know, who writes the books? Is it mankind, you know, or is it a hand that comes from nowhere? You know, they're written by people, aren't they? And they're translated, and passages are missed from them. So yeah, interesting. But I think it is difficult. I mean, you look what's going on in the Middle East now. And if apparently it's quoted in the Bible, I mean, I won't get into all that sort of stuff because it's out of my depth. But a lot of people are saying, well, this is a prophecy, what's happening, and with Iran getting involved. And it's quite scary, but it's also quite scary, I think, that people do swear by the Bible, literally, and you know, they just follow it. They just follow it, and they're not questioning. I mean, you know, there's some good things in it, 10 Commandments and good moral ways of living your life, but you know, is it right or wrong? What else? Well, I was right. Tipping point. I made a note here. Tipping point. We say it's a numbers game, so there's a tipping point. It's not like 90% of the world's population have to suddenly agree with us and all wake up, is it? It's a certain amount, a tipping point. How far do you think we are from that tipping point where the scales are going to go away?
Right. I think I know the percentage. The percentage is about 3%. So it's like 3% of the world's population needs to wake up. I think at the moment, the numbers have exceeded that, but the people are all over the place. They're not organized. That's the problem. They're all fighting different things and all the rest of it. Because you just look at social media, there's literally hundreds of thousands, not millions of people online saying, look at the food supply, look at the water, look at all of this. So people are suddenly waking up in their hundreds of millions and going, we've been lied to about medicine, for example, and germ theory and money and fiat currency. And so there's millions of people waking up to that. However, the true awakening hasn't started. And that is when people become sovereign. That's what I'm waiting for. We need a critical mass of true sovereign men and women who say, I can run my own life. I have no need for government, and I'm not following any of their corporate policies anymore. When you get enough of that, enough numbers in that, that's when it comes to an end. And sadly, true sovereigns on this planet, 10 people maybe that I know. I'm sorry, but I can't. Honestly, there's a lot of people.
I hear you. I can shake so. Well, when we had our event the other week up in Scotland, which went very well, and somebody came up and they were late, and they said, I'm really sorry, but it was the bus. So it's the bus's fault. And I said, okay, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. But it was a bit of a problem. It doesn't matter. We overcame the situation. But again, it's taking responsibility for getting either the wrong bus or being late for the bus. A lot of people make excuses. Like I've lost the keys, or I've run out of petrol, or there's millions of excuses. And again, it goes back to taking responsibility. Be prepared, get enough sleep so you're not all, in the morning, you're not all flustered, have enough time, check the bus timetable, and okay, buses do go wrong, trains go wrong. I do understand that, but it is taking responsibility for absolutely everything and not blaming, other people or buses and stuff like that. It's a big thing, isn't it? And but I hear you. It's taking responsibility. Now, also, what do you think about all the people in this freedom movement? Like you said, they're all running around. I liked that when you did that. It makes sense. But there is a lot of this in the freedom movement, isn't it? So many people are falling out. And but I'm a sovereign person. I'm full of love and light and compassion. And then they go and stab somebody, metaphorically, in the back. They say nasty things, and then they fall out, and the group is divided, and they go off, and that group's divided. How can we overcome that, or can we not?
Unfortunately, we can't. There's a lot of pathetic people out there. They've got massive egos. Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with an ego. You can use it when the time suits, but you've got to keep it under check. We all have them, and you can have fun with an ego. But when it starts getting in the way and it starts basically burning bridges and destroying something that's like good, then your ego's getting in the way, and it's an an evil entity sort of thing. Now, I mean, the good news is, like I say, the Sovereign Project is growing. I mean, my network now is huge. The amount of people that I know is huge. I've got meetings all booked up all next week. I'm talking with different people who want to work with the Sovereign Project. So it's going to get to a point where if you're not part of the Sovereign Project network, you're just a rinky dink, don't want to know you. So go away because you're irritated. See, the thing is, it's not me. It's not, I don't want people following me. Don't follow me. But it's a Sovereign Project ethos, which is we will not charge for membership. The door is always open. So even if you disagree, you go away in a huff, doesn't matter, all is forgiven. You can come back. Not a problem, as long as you're not scamming people for £3,000 to get rid of your mortgage or something. As long as you're not scamming people, the door's open. We will always say the information is free. That's a key point. The information is always free. You can check out the information. If it resonates with you, you like it. Yes, we've got books. Yes, we've got online courses. But we've also got workshops that are literally free, run by volunteers who are willing to teach you this stuff, take time out of their busy week, run a course in an evening, and actually tell you this stuff. So, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I would say that the information that I've put together over the past 30 years is possibly the best and the strongest. People have tried to critique me and have lost. So, good luck.
Well, good for you. You're following your vocation, aren't you? You're in your divine service, as I like to call it. You're here for a purpose, and that's what you're doing. So I have another question, but just before I go on to that question, how can people get hold of you? And can we see a copy of your book again? So the book that you've written, is it just one you've written so far?
We've got 3. I'm in the 4th.
Wow. Catching up with David Icke there, Pete.
I know I am. This is my very first book I ever wrote.
Right. The System, Death by 1,000 Cuts. And I published this in 2017. It goes through terrorism, national debt, privatization, all the stuff that people don't know about and we're talking about. So that's my first book. Yeah.
I've just refreshed it. So this is the same book, but I've actually just refreshed it. So it's the same book, but we've got a new title and a new cover. And
happy couple on the front.
Yes, you can tell they are absolutely trapped in the system. That's the people falling into hell. You can see the people at the top there, and because these are the people who don't think, and they're just going to walk right off the cliff into hell. Can't save them.
Lemmings, yeah.
Yeah, these are the people who know they're trapped and they want out.
Yeah.
So that's that one. Then I've gone this one, The System, which is the Enchiridion to Freedom, which is the handbook. That's the Sovereign Project handbook. Tells you a whole load of stuff. And we've just done this one, which is the System, Delving Deeper into the Abyss. This goes real deep. If you want to know how courts operate, it's all in here. But if people think I'm selling books, quite literally, all the paragraphs, all the chapters are for free. You can download them off my website, which is thesovereignproject.live. So if you don't want to buy a book, I can't be accused of selling books if I literally give it away for free.
You can't, but I think also some people in your situation need to sell books so that you can carry on, putting bread and butter on the table and doing the work. Because at the moment we do need money, we need some sort of exchange to live, don't we? So there's nothing wrong in selling your books at all. And I think it's fantastic that you're giving it free. So we can get those from your website and Amazon, the Jungle Shop.
Yeah, well, the Amazon one, these 3 are all only on my website. Okay. So we've cut out Amazon. This one is still on Amazon.
Right. Okay.
Because I wrote this before the Sovereign Project. And the website is thesovereignproject.live.
Yeah.
Now there is scammers out there pretending to be the Sovereign Project and they're charging membership, and that's not us. So there's so just be careful. If you do a Google search, you'll get a different Sovereign Project and they're scamming people.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. And I hear what you're saying. You're trying to get off Amazon, but Amazon is so easy, but it's scary, Amazon. It's so easy. I think somebody told me the other day to get a book called The Warehouse, which is like the one shop left in the world. And we think that we know what that's going to be, the Amazon. So the other thing I was going to ask you is about this. I can never say it, the Cestui Que Vie. I think I've said it incorrectly. Is that how you say it, Cestui Que Vie?
It's actually French. I can't speak in a French accent, but I think it's Cestui Que Vie. I think is how you.
I do not understand. I can
It's
speak
French.
it, but I still can't say it. So, right, is it the same as Jasara and Nasara and all that stuff that hit? No.
Okay.
Okay.
What it is, it's tied into the Unum Sanctum stuff. There is a history, which I do actually cover in delving deeper into the abyss. So that explains the creation of the Cestui Que Vie Trust, the Unum Sanctum, how it all works, the two keys, the reason why you get a silver key when you turn 21, because that's to open your trust, because they hold the other key, which is gold. So you've got a gold key and a silver key. You've got a symbol of the 3 crowns of the Unum Sanctum. This is from 1302, when one of the popes, I think it was Pope Francis, was it? I can't remember. It's in the book.
They're all Pope Francis, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. It's Paul of France. Yeah, so pick one of them. They're all corrupt, but yeah, just research the history of these popes. But they made a decree that they owned everything in the world, and everything was in trust with God, and you had to be a believer, and then you became a beneficiary, but you gave away your equitable title and your the equitable and controlling interest. So that meant you as a peasant, as a person, as someone as part of the church, you do not own anything, and you do not have the right to control anything. You just have use of, under the control of the church. So fast forward to today, that still is in full effect. The modern day feudalism system is absolutely here. The average person doesn't know it.
Yeah.
But it is a long story. It is quite in depth.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it, and that's also why our passport. We've got a P, haven't we? P for peasant or pleb or plonker or something.
Yes, right. Plebeian, pauper. It's also, it's called pauper. You're classified as a pauper because you don't own anything. If you don't own anything, then you're a pauper. So people might be living in a big mansion and have a Lamborghini and go, you don't own any of that because the government does, and you don't even know it.
And that's not the same as Mr. Klaus Schwab said, that we will own, nothing can be happy. That's not quite the same meaning there, is it?
It is the same.
It is.
Oh, it is okay. The same. It is the same. He knows. He's telling you. He's literally telling you you'll own nothing, because you don't now. You don't own your bank account.
But will we be happy? Well, isn't that because they're going to take it all? No.
Well, the slaves might be.
But unless you put it in your own trust, you've got to put it in a trust. You've got to protect all your assets. Is that correct? Yeah.
Now, but what you've got to do,
maybe that's a talk for another day.
Yeah, we can get into that. But you have to create your own estate. You've got to create your name and all the rest of it to be able to control your trust. That's where a lot of people are going wrong. But it's a very complicated process. But if people want to learn it, I can explain it to people. And there is a way out. So don't panic. If people are going, oh my God, they're going to take everything. No, there's a way out. Just got to learn how the game is played.
Yeah, and not be in fear. And some people think they can access this Cestui Que Vie trust. Can they?
Well, not that trust, but you can access your foreign situs trust.
Oh.
So the Cestui Que Vie trust is basically what the government uses to access your foreign situs trust and get access to the credit that is in your name. I'm going to do very, very basic layman's terms here because of time.
Yes.
But as everyone should hopefully know about the birth certificate, you are given away, you're basically abandoned at birth. Your mother and father made the mistake of registering you. You're given away. The church comes in, scoops you up and says, okay, this is an orphan. We're going to scoop it up. We're now going to be in control of this child. And the church creates an estate for you. And it's based on you're worth your weight in gold, 10 acres of land, some other things. They'll chuck it onto a pot and they'll say it's about $100 million worth of an estate. It's fictitious, doesn't exist, but that's what they do. They take this $100 million worth of an estate and they place that into trust, which is your foreign situs trust. That creates, to create a trust, you've got to put something of value in there, okay, which is the estate. And then what they do is, because you don't even know this trust exists, you go on about your life, living your life, you don't know anything, but you actually accept the birth certificate, which is the corporate birth certificate, the debtor certificate, the national insurance number, the surname. You don't know that because you don't even know this thing exists. But then throughout your entire life, every time you sign any document that is connected to government in any way, which is including insurance companies, mortgage companies, and all the rest of it, every time you sign, you are allowing that government agency or corporate business to gain access to your foreign situs trust, like a mortgage. So you fill out the form, you sign in blue ink as the creditor, you're basically acting as executor to your foreign situs trust. This paperwork is then sent to the Bank of England, layman's terms, goes through the Cestui Que Vie trust, goes to your foreign situs trust, comes back to the Bank of England as your foreign credit, is converted into public credit, which is this. This is called public credit and not private credit. So it's your foreign private credit converted into this. You're then given this to buy your house, but you are the creditor of it. And the government uses this Cestui Que Vie trust to fund everything, not tax. The tax you pay is the interest on the debt, and the national debt is the money that the government owes you and me, because that's national debt. National debt literally means corporate debt, and they're telling you this, but the average person doesn't even know. So they owe us what, 3.2 trillion. I want that back.
Do you think we're going to get it back ever? Do you think it's going to come our way?
No, but you can still facilitate your own credit. I'm very, very close to figuring this out, trying to crack the code. I mean, for example, if you do crack the code, you will be able to facilitate your own credit. In other words, if you want to buy a house, you just say, I want to buy that mansion, 1.5 million, and then you'll submit your paperwork to the Bank of England, which will be a promissory note. The Bank of England will get into your Cestui Que, foreign situs, through the Cestui Que, and then pay the estate agent. Ding! You cut the middleman out. You're not using a mortgage company. That's it. And there's nothing to pay because you've used your own credit. You can do this with everything. Your car insurance, people don't know this, but you actually self-insure. You don't realize this because when you take out an insurance policy, you sign for a $4 million bond for 12 months. And if you have an accident, that bond pays for the damages and the administration costs. But no one knows this. So, I mean, this insurance company is absolutely ripping you off. They make $4 million every time you take a policy out because you don't claim the bond back. So they claim it and sell it on the debt market. It's a scam.
Yeah, an absolute scam. Same as utilities. Yeah, all of it.
Utilities
I guess
will pay for.
Yeah, but it's like you said, selling it on to somebody else. It's like these parking notices, these parking fines. You know, if you're not paying it, that is sold on to a debt collector, isn't it? Another organisation. So it's such a scam. But
yes.
Well, Pete, we could talk forever because you've got so much knowledge. We've gone on 45 minutes, so I'll wind it up now. Is there anything else you want to say before I just mention what you're coming on the next live show, the Lawful Remedy show?
Yes.
In Canterbury. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, I can just give everybody a quick heads up regarding the Sovereign Project. I mentioned the workshops. So we've got several workshops operating out there. So this is where people can go and learn this stuff for free. What I would say is if you do go to a local Sovereign Project workshop, tip the guy a drink. The one who's doing the presentation and holding the event and has organised a room for you, the least you can do is tip him a drink. So even though we say it's free, tip him a drink. We set up chess clubs for people who want to discuss remedies and work together on resolving this. We are dealing and creating a lot of remedies for people. We have the solutions for everything. So don't worry, everybody. Okay, we are working on it. Once you've educated yourself to a certain level, we'll give you the rest of the information and go, away you go. But you have to learn this stuff before you can even understand the remedy. I mean, a quick, just before we end, to give you an example, the DVLA, we know how to get your car back, not a problem. And like you mentioned earlier, it is a numbers game. So if we get enough people who want to do it, say 100,000 plus people, true sovereign people who want to do this, there will be enough people there to fund a legal team. So if you're driving around in your unregistered car and you own it outright, you've got a laudio title and all the rest of it, and you get pulled over, that is a criminal offence. The police are acting in a criminal manner, and my legal team will decimate those police. They will sue the superintendent. They'll sue, those police will be forced to quit and leave. They must be sacked because what they did was a criminal offence, and that will be a bloody nose for these criminals. Okay, but we need 100,000 plus people at least to do this. And we can do the same with council tax and ULEZ and 50 minutes. The whole lot. It's sitting there waiting for you to join.
Yeah, we just so join up. So join Pete. I'll go onto his website. You were brilliant up in Perth. I posted those very raw, basic, the footage of what we did up in Perth. But there's been some very positive comments, especially about what you were saying, and they saying we want more Pete. Hence, I invited you to come onto the Wise Women Weekdays, which I say thank you very much for joining me today. And we are going to meet you in Canterbury on the 19th and 20th. I think you are joining us.
Yep.
So down in Kent, on 19th and 20th of October.
Yes.
The Lawful Remedy live roadshow. So I'm not too sure how we're going to plan it. I don't know if it's going to be the same as the other ones, or we're going to have a bit of role play. I don't want to say that because it might put people off, but I think if there is a bit of role play, it encourages people to stand up and not be in fear, which is the main thing, isn't it? Sure. So that's going to be a great event, and Richard Robes is going to be hosting it with me, and we've got Chris Coverdale, David Edelman, I think Paul Gunson, Pete the Hat, Tony Rose is coming, and Allegedly Dave is coming. I think that's all, and Peace Officer David and yourself. So, you know, a good weekend, and, you know, please come along, people, to that if you want to meet these amazing guys that are out there at the forefront doing the work and teaching us. So thank you so much, Pete, for joining me tonight on a Friday evening, sunny Friday evening. Anything fun for the weekend? Anything nice and fun, or are you working?
Working. I'll be holding a chess club Sundays. Every Sunday I hold a chess club here in Leicester, so people can talk about their remedies, speeding tickets, pocket tickets, all that sort of stuff. And then tomorrow it's just paperwork, emails, and don't stop.
Same old. Yeah, yes. You're on a mission. But thank you for doing what you're doing. You know, it's great. We need people like you, and I really respect what you're doing. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And yeah, I will see you in Canterbury. And yeah, all the best. On those watching this, like it, subscribe, make a comment if you've got a question for Pete, put it down, and I'll make sure he gets that. And I'll see you next time.